It's hard to believe I made my original Mii Iceberg video over a year ago now. I've learned a lot since then, and I believe I'm now capable of creating a far more in-depth and overall better video. I also learned how to cite my damn sources. So that's why today I'm having another swing at it. This is my final, ultimate Mii Iceberg. Unlike last time, this is an original iceberg made by me along with some help from my friends. As much as I'd like it to be, this is not a comprehensive list of every single piece of Mii trivia, media, and information known to man, so if there's anything I didn't mention that you find interesting, please feel free to leave a comment about it. Before I dive into the first layer, I'd like to go over some of the very basics for a moment. You could call this the metaphorical sky section of the iceberg. I'll keep it quick, however, as I know most people already know this stuff. Miis are customizable avatars which were invented by Nintendo and debuted on the Wii in November of 2006, where they heavily featured in the flagship franchise for the console, fittingly known as the Wii series, alongside many other games and consoles. Popular games which prominently feature Miis include Wii Sports, a sports simulator game which came packaged with the Wii, where you play as a Mii participating in many different sports. The game also received a sequel known as Wii Sports Resort in 2009. Switch Sports was also a thing, but we don't talk about Switch Sports. Wii Fit, another massively popular Wii series game. The game's primary focus and theme was fitness. You, represented as your Mii, could use the Wii Fit board, an accessory that came packaged with the game, to perform body tests, play exercise-related games, do yoga, and other body training activities. The game also received a sequel called Wii Fit Plus, as well as a third game for the Wii U, known as Wii Fit U. Tomodachi Life, a comedic life sim game for the 3DS, where you populate an apartment building with Miis, which you must take care of and interact with. Miitopia, a simple, lighthearted RPG released for the 3DS and later ported to the Switch, where you play as your Mii in a party of other Miis working to defeat the evil Dark Lord and save the land of Miitopia. The game is also considered by many to be a spin-off of Tomodachi Life. Okay, so I finished this video literally a day before they announced the new Tomodachi Life game, but I feel like it needs to be mentioned, so here you go. Life is beautiful. Never kill yourself. Okay, with the very basics out of the way, let's get into the actual iceberg. Layer 1. The surface. I would describe Layer 1 as things casual Nintendo fans probably won't have immediate knowledge of, but anyone who's decently into Miis will likely know fairly well. Let's begin with Nintendo Land. Nintendo Land was a party game that came packaged with the Wii U, prominently featuring Miis. It had 12 minigames all based on pre-existing Nintendo franchises, presented as attractions at an amusement park. It was sort of a glorified tech demo for the Wii U to show players what the console was capable of, similar to games like Wii Sports or Wii Play. In Tomodachi Life, if your Mii owns a Wii U, they can sometimes be heard playing Nintendo Land. Most people have likely heard of this game before, but the odds that they've actually played it are lower than other Mii games as it was a Wii U exclusive. Matt. Matt from Wii Sports is arguably one of the most iconic official Nintendo Miis. Matt is a CPU Mii originating from Wii Sports, and he was apparently the only CPU to have championship status in more than one sport. He is known for being a difficult opponent. Of course, his meme status does greatly exaggerate his actual undefeatability, but I'm not gonna go out there and try to downplay his achievements. Matt is undeniably a very accomplished guy. Meme Miis. I touched on Matt from Wii Sports, but there are many other Miis that have been born from or have become memes. Good examples that you may have seen would be Lonk, Princess Peach, Sans, this Burger Mii, also popularly dubbed Beef Boss by the YouTuber Poofisher, and Peter Griffin. Tomodachi Collection. Tomodachi Collection was the prequel to Tomodachi Life and was never released outside of Japan. The game is very similar to Tomodachi Life but released for the DS in 2008. The game has a few less features than Tomodachi Life, but it also has some features that Tomodachi Life lacks. There is an English fan translation of the game, so even if you don't speak Japanese, it's definitely still worth a play. Creepypastas. There have been many creepypastas written about Miis and Mii games over the years, the most popular of which being Wii Deleted You, a story about a kid who gets a Wii for his birthday. However, upon opening the Mii channel for the first time, he finds a strange and creepy Mii named Deleted. He deletes this Mii and creepy, scary things ensue. You know, hyper-realistic blood-red eyes. I'm sure you know how these old creepypastas usually go. This story has also had several sequels and is known for featuring in a Friday Night Funkin' mod. Dying Happy is another popular pasta, about Tomodachi Life this time. I actually read this one out on my channel for Halloween last year, so you can check that video out after this one if you're interested, although I will warn you, the video is beginning to show its age. Tomodachi Life regional differences. The way popular 3DS Mii game Tomodachi Life was localized throughout different regions is very unique. Rather than just translating the game with relatively few changes between regions, Tomodachi Life made it a point to give each regional variation of the game different content, such as unique food, clothing, and dreams. There are 4 different localizations of the game with slightly different content, these versions being the original Japanese version, the Korean version, the North American version, and the European version. Mario movie reference. In the Super Mario Bros. Movie, created by Universal Pictures, Illumination, and Nintendo in 2023, there is a scene where Luigi receives a call from an unknown caller on his phone. If you look closely during this scene, you can see that the icon used for the unknown caller is the silhouette of a default Mii. Mii Fighters cut from Brawl. In both Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U, Miis are playable characters, but they were initially considered for inclusion in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. However, they ended up not being implemented until the next game. 2007 Game Developers Conference Mii Talk. At the 2007 Game Developer Conference, Shigeru Miyamoto spoke about the development and history of Miis, discussing how the concept was developed, starting all the way back on the Famicom Disk System, all the way up to the N64, DS, and eventually the Wii. The talk is quite interesting, so I recommend checking it out. I'll link it in the description as well as on my credits/sources page, of course. Find Mii. Find Mii is coincidentally the name of 2 entirely unrelated Mii minigames from 2 different Mii games. The first Find Mii game is from Wii Play, where you're tasked to spot odd Miis out, or a specific Mii in a crowd of other Miis. The second one is an RPG-like minigame from Mii Street Pass Plaza on the 3DS, where your Mii is kidnapped and imprisoned, and you have to use the Miis from people you street passed or play coins to fight evil creatures and save your Mii. Also, I keep getting this strange feeling that there were actually 3 games called Find Mii, but I can't find any more, so I'm probably just delusional, I guess. Tomodachi Life save file deletion screen. Upon opening the save file deletion screen in Tomodachi Life, you'll see your Mii running in place in slow motion. You must confirm yes about a dozen times, and eventually your Mii will yell out, "No! Why?" and begin slowly sliding further and further away from the camera until they disappear. As they fade away, there are several lines they can say, including, quote, "I hope we meet again someday," and "You may have deleted everything, but we still have lots of nice memories." It's actually kinda fucked up. Woohoo Island in Mario Kart. There are 3 racetracks in Mario Kart which feature Woohoo Island. Its first appearance in the Mario Kart series was in Mario Kart 7, Woohoo Loop, Maka Woohoo, and a battle course called Woohoo Town. Woohoo Town would also go on to appear in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Tomodachi Quest. Tomodachi Quest is an RPG-style minigame that you can play at the carnival at certain times of day in Tomodachi Life. You play as 4 randomly selected Miis from your island and fight off random items and food acting as enemies. The minigame is also theorized by some to have been an inspiration for the game Miitopia, as they both share the same Mii RPG premise. Animal Crossing Mii Masks. In Animal Crossing New Leaf and City Folk, you could get a makeover at Shampoodle's which would replace your villager's head with a Mii head. In my opinion, the Mii heads fit great in City Folk, but they honestly look a bit off in New Leaf. I feel like the proportions are just a little bit wrong. I think if they had just made the Mii heads a bit bigger, it could have worked better, but I digress. Unfortunately, the Mii makeup feature was not carried over to New Horizons. Tomodachi Life Gay Marriage Controversy. In the game Tomodachi Life, Miis are able to get into relationships with each other. However, same-sex relationships are not possible in the game. Upon its localization in the West, there was backlash from many fans who thought that this feature should have been included. Nintendo eventually made a statement saying that they, quote, "never intended to make any form of social commentary," end quote, with the game, which did not help their case. They soon retracted the statement, apologizing and promising to include same-sex relationships in the next Tomodachi game. My Nintendo Mii Maker. The My Nintendo website allows you to create Miis on your browser. The tool was just intended to be used to make your profile image, so it is rather limited, only allowing you to have up to 6 Miis at a time. To access this Mii Maker, go to mynintendo.com on any smart device, click your profile icon, or click Sign In if you aren't already, go to Account Settings, go to User Information, and then click Edit Profile. Now, under the profile icon, click Edit Mii. Layer 2, the Sunlight Zone. Miiverse. In 2012, Nintendo launched their new social networking service for the Wii U, and soon the 3DS, known as Miiverse. This service would allow users to post and share content with others on the platform, and was also implemented into many games such as Splatoon. Each profile on the platform would be represented by the Mii connected to that user's Nintendo Network ID. Miiverse was also known as a very Mii platform due to its high concentration of children and trolls. Miitomo. Miitomo was a social networking app released by Nintendo in 2016. It was their first ever smartphone game and was relatively successful, although the user base dwindled quickly. The game allowed you to do things such as create Miis, buy clothing for them, and interact with others. One feature from the game that was notable was the Mii Photo Studio. You could create basically any image you wanted with your Miis by moving them around, posing them, adding backgrounds, text, and stickers. Unfortunately though, the game was shut down in 2018 and is no longer playable through official means. Guest Miis. The guest Miis, known as guest A through F, are 6 variations of the default Miis, 3 female and 3 male. They are present in most games that feature Miis as playable characters and are meant to represent, as the name suggests, any player who doesn't have their own Mii. Their designs are left very simple, essentially just being recolors of the default Miis, presumably to leave room for interpretation so that they may better represent many different types of people. Mii Fighters. The Mii Fighters are playable characters which debuted in the 4th installment of the Super Smash Bros. Series, known as Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U. There are 3 variations of the Mii Fighter: Mii Gunner, Mii Brawler, and Mii Sword Fighter, each one having different stats and sets of customizable moves, focusing on different styles of fighting. Of course, these Mii Fighters can be fully personalized with your very own Mii and even custom outfits, but similar to guest Miis, the Mii Fighters also have default forms. The purpose of these default Mii Fighters do appear to be slightly different from the guest Miis, being used more to fill in official renders and promotional material, rather than to fill in for players without their own Miis. To me, the default Mii Fighters still fit into a similar category to guest Miis, seeing as they seem to share a design philosophy, as well as a similar-ish role, being placeholders. Particularly with the Mii Fighters from Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U, they retain many traits from the default Miis. However, you would be mistaken to believe that their features are as simple as the guest Miis. Upon first glance, they may appear to just be recolors / slight option changes from the default Miis. However, their facial features actually have many subtle repositionings. Me and a friend of mine actually ended up going on a wild goose chase trying to figure out these Mii Fighters' actual proportions, as there was surprisingly no 100% credible source on the subject. I'm fairly confident we ended up with accurate recreations, however if you'd like to scrutinize over that, you can read the article we wrote about the process in the description. The default Mii Fighters from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate do depart far further from the default Miis, looking more distinct from one another. However, they still have features which remain similar to the default Miis, such as their eye options and head shapes. This isn't particularly relevant, but this style of Mii, both the Mii Fighters and the guest Miis, have to be my absolute favorite when it comes to official Nintendo Miis. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I find their simple design so oddly charming. Especially Mii Gunner. Oh, my beloved default Mii Gunner from Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U. Mii Amiibo. In 2015, Nintendo released a set of amiibo depicting the 3 default Mii Fighters from Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U. These amiibo are one of only 2 known instances of official Mii figurines being made, and are most definitely the only widespread example of such an occurrence. They also released a bundle containing all 3 fighters, which was exclusive to Toys R Us for some reason and is now stupid expensive. Pikmin Bloom. Pikmin Bloom is a mobile game developed by Niantic and released in 2021, which follows a very similar premise to Pokemon Go. However, instead of being centered around collecting Pokemon, the main objective of the game is to collect items to grow and feed your Pikmin. What earned Pikmin Bloom its spot on this iceberg is the fact that the player is represented by a Mii in the game. Nintendo Museum Miis. At the as of now newly opened Nintendo Museum, guests are able to use their Nintendo accounts to get their Mii printed on their entry ticket. Not much more to it, just a very cool detail. Guest Mii names. In the WiiWare game TV Show King 2, the 6 default guest Miis, who are typically referred to only as guest A through F, are given unofficial names. In the game, guest A is called Buggy, guest B is called Bee, guest C is called Hubble, guest D is called Nugget, guest E is called Mango, and guest F is called Shiggy. And since we're talking about guest Miis, canon guest Mii ethnicities. In the July 2021 Nintendo leak, data about the ethnicities of all of the default guest Miis was found. According to the leak, guest A and D are black, guest B and E are Caucasian, and guest C and F are Asian. Kiritomo. Kiritomo is a fan revival service for Nintendo's 2016 mobile game Miitomo, which, as mentioned prior, was officially shut down in 2018. Kiritomo allows you to play Miitomo even 6 years after its official shutdown. However, in recent years, the service has been criticized for its decay in quality and lack of updates, having semi-frequent outages, as well as lacking crucial features such as being able to unfriend and block people, or even save Mii photos. Users now having to resort to taking screenshots of their Mii photos if they want to save them at all. I don't want to put too much fault on the developers though, they clearly seem to be burnt out on this project. I mean, it has been going on for years at this point. Mii Library. Mii Library is a fan website run and owned by internet user and Mii enthusiast Alice/HeyI'mHeroic, which documents Miis used in official material. It's considered to be the most trusted unofficial source on the subject. In fact, many entries on this iceberg use Mii Library as a source. Of course, Mii Library hasn't documented every single Mii ever created by Nintendo, which is why information about how to create the Super Smash Bros. 4 Mii fighters is so sparse, because they have yet to get a Mii Library entry. Mii mascot costumes. Nintendo has made several real-life mascot costumes of Miis in the past. Most recognizably, this mascot costume of Reggie Fils-Aimé, former president of Nintendo of America, used in the Tomodachi Life Nintendo Direct. There have also been other official Mii mascot costumes, such as these ones, made to promote the Wii U's launch. Miis are just heads. This entry is pointing out that technically there is no consistent canon for what a Mii's body is supposed to look like. There are common traits most games follow, especially first-party Nintendo games, such as spherical hands, simple, often cylindrical bodies, or an outfit that corresponds with their favorite color. However, there are exceptions for all of these commonalities, and there really is no technically correct or incorrect Mii body. Miitopia 18+ in Russia. In Miitopia, your Miis are sometimes vaguely implied to express romantic feelings towards each other, usually seen in randomly occurring dialogue. Things like these events and the ambiguous nature of the game's relationships, which happen between Miis regardless of gender, are likely the reasoning behind the game's 18+ rating and eventual ban in Russia. We will be coming back to the subject of Miis in Russia later. Official Shaq Mii. For the US release of Tomodachi Life, Nintendo did a kind of bizarre collaboration with a select few celebrities, including Shaq. You could, and still can, scan their QR codes to get them in Tomodachi Life, Miitomo, the Mii Maker, etc. When scanned into Tomodachi Life, these special Miis will have preset personalities and voices which cannot be edited. The Dark Lord was a factory worker. The Dark Lord is the secondary villain in Miitopia. After you free him from the Dark Curse, he mentions how he used to work in an HP banana factory. Edit/wake up exploit. This is an exploit in Tomodachi Life, where if you edit a Mii's personality while they're asleep, they will wake up, which you can't normally force them to do. Interestingly, this exploit does not exist in the 1.0 Japanese version of Tomodachi Life. Miis can cheat. In both Tomodachi Collection and Tomodachi Life, Miis are able to accept a confession from another Mii while they are still in a relationship. As I understand it, this event only occurs when the pre-existing Mii couple is already unhappy. The Mii who accepts the date will start a new relationship, while the original partner will lose their relationship status and become single. Damn, get cucked. I have heard reports of this event being exclusive to the Japanese version of the game, but as far as I can tell, this is misinformation. I mean, I've never had this happen to me in my Tomodachi Life game, but all my Miis just fucking hate each other, so they won't date anyways. Age barrier. In Tomodachi Collection and the Japanese version of Tomodachi Life, a minor and adult Mii could date and even marry. This was changed in Western releases for obvious cultural reasons. Layer 3. The Twilight Zone. Aquaspace. Aquaspace is a WiiWare game released in 2010. This aquarium sim is closer to a screensaver than an actual game, as there is no progression and very little content outside of the decoration and customization features. This game is on the iceberg because of its use of Miis, of course. In the game, you're able to add one of your Miis from the Mii channel to the tank. When you do this, your camera will focus on the Mii swimming around, a very charming and unique yet simple feature, in my opinion. Kai Cenat Mii Hoodie. You may know of the popular Twitch streamer and YouTuber Kai Cenat if you're a particularly online individual. On one of his streams in May of 2024, and subsequently a few videos of his, he wore this sweatshirt depicting a Mii holding up 2 middle fingers. This is obviously not licensed merchandise, so who made it? The alternative clothing brand When I Reminisce, who seems to have gained popularity on platforms like TikTok and Instagram, are responsible for this clothing item. The brand appears to be riding off the recent repopularization of 2000s aesthetics to sell their merchandise. Not to get too opinionated here, but some of these designs are... I don't know, man. Would you wear this? The brand's website is currently password protected and doesn't seem to have been archived before this password was set, so I suppose this beautiful sweatshirt is now gone forever. Oh, what a shame. Dummy Girl. Dummy Girl was a Mii found in the September 2020 Nintendo leaks. Her purpose was to be a placeholder for the Nintendo 3DS debug application, known as Add Friend Tool. As described on Mii Library, this tool would fill up the friend list with 100 copies of this Mii, nicknamed Dummy Girl. This is another one of my favorite Miis, since she also has a similar design philosophy to the guest Miis in Mii Fighters, except they made her look like the 3DS friend icon. I mean, come on, that's so cute. Nintendo World Miis. The Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge ride at Nintendo World Hollywood uses these Mario-themed AR goggles to create an immersive experience during the ride. At several points during this ride, animated demonstrations of the glasses being equipped are shown, these demonstrations being performed by Miis. In these animations, the Miis are depicted with ears. This makes sense since having ears is sort of necessary in order for the demonstration to be accurate. However, it's extremely out of the ordinary to see Miis depicted with ears. It is notable, however, that some earlier development iterations of Miis were shown to have ears, although they were removed before ever being released. The lyrics you entered could not be sung properly. This is a bug in Tomodachi Life that seems to happen if you enter lyrics that the game is unable to process, like a single letter repeating over and over for the entirety of a song. The interesting thing is that this error message doesn't always appear before the song begins, but after the Miis have already started singing. Actual size of Miis. In Tomodachi Life, Miis are often seen interacting with real-life objects, giving us an idea of their actual canonical size, or at least their canon size in Tomodachi Life. The most common place to see Mii's real size is when you can see the player's hand. With this reference, it looks like a Mii's head is just a bit larger than a human hand. However, this is contradicted all over the game, especially in Mii news. If you were to ask me, I would say Miis simply don't have a canon size, at least not in Tomodachi Life. Bunny Suit. The bunny suit is an item exclusive to the Japanese and Korean versions of Tomodachi Life. Many people theorize this item was removed in other localizations due to having a more inappropriate connotation in Western countries as opposed to within Japan and Korea. Alternatively, I believe it's possible they simply removed the item because they felt it wasn't relevant to Western players. As I mentioned in the beginning of the iceberg, arbitrary regional differences in Tomodachi Life aren't exactly few and far between. The game has had many items removed and changed between regions, so it's very possible we may just be looking too far into it. Ultimately though, we'll never truly know why this item was removed unless a developer comes out and tells us themselves. I'd like to know what you think though. Was this item removed because it was considered too inappropriate, or do you think it was just a simple localization decision? Tomodachi Life gay rumor. Oh boy, I really wasn't looking forward to writing this part of the video. This entire story is honestly a misinformation nightmare, and I'm gonna try to clean things up. In 2013, rumors arose that there was a bug in the Japanese version of Tomodachi Life that would allow gay marriage exclusively between two male Miis. I hate to break it to you guys, but this is just not true. It seems the main spreaders of this misinformation were these two articles published on the subject. Although, to this one's credit, they did post a correction. As with most rumors, this one was based on a real event. There was a bug in the 1.0 version of Tomodachi Life that could occur when using the Tomodachi Collection to Tomodachi Life Save Data Transfer tool. From what I understand, this bug scrambled the Mii's data, and could result in a random Mii replacing another Mii in a relationship, which could technically result in a same-sex relationship. However, the bug also prevented you from saving the game. Even if you were able to save, forcibly implementing same-sex relationships into Tomodachi Life will cause severe crashes, as can be seen when done with a save editor. Part of the confusion also seemed to come from a misinterpreted translation from a Nintendo patch note, noting a fix of, quote, relationships becoming strange, end quote. People interpreted this as Nintendo stating that they patched gay relationships, when it was really just about fixing the transfer tool scrambling of Mii relationships. Enka. In the original Japanese release of Tomodachi Life, your Miis could learn and perform an enka song. Enka is a music genre that isn't very well known or listened to in the West, so this is likely the reason it was removed from the game's international releases. The Alice War. At some point during Miitomo's prime in 2016, a Mii known simply as Alice began to flood Style Central. This was the beginning of a meme of sorts on the platform. A war began between the Alice reposters and the Alice haters, who were sick of seeing her posted all over the app. This meme would pretty much go on until the closure of the service in 2018. Wii no Ma. Wii no Ma, which translates to Wii Room, was a Japan-exclusive Wii channel that launched in May of 2009. Wii Room was sort of a virtual content hub for the Wii, providing many services such as TV streaming and even online shopping. the game had a very skeuomorphic design. You could add up to 8 Miis to the literal Wii room, and they would just hang out, usually sitting at the table in the center of the room. The most interesting thing about Wii no Ma, to me, was the shopping aspect, particularly the Mii merchandise that was sold exclusively on the channel. Some examples being these Mii keychains, Mii stamps, and these sick Mii tote bags. Unfortunately, Wii Room was shut down in April of 2012, however an amazing and high-quality fan revival has been created by the WeLink team, which not only brought the game back but also localized it. Mii Police Sketch. The legend behind this image is that the Japanese police were using this Mii to try to identify a criminal. However, this is likely not the whole story. Thomas Game Docs made a great video about this story, so please watch her video if you're more interested in the details. It's a little old now, but she explained things far better than I have time to do in this video. AKB48 plus Mii. AKB48 plus Mii is a slightly obscure Japan-exclusive 3DS game where your Mii joins the real-life idol group AKB48 and performs with them. It's notable because every single character in the game is a Mii. It's a fairly simple rhythm game involving the touchscreen. There's no English translation of the game, however it is pretty simple, so understanding the language is not necessary in order to play it. Bald Miis can use hair dye. In Tomodachi Life, Miis who are bald can use the hair dye item. All it will do is dye their eyebrows. Unless they have no eyebrows, then it literally does nothing. Personal trainer walking. Personal trainer walking, also known as Walk With Me Do You Know Your Walking Routine in Europe, is one of only 5 games for the original DS to utilize Miis. The main gimmick of this game was its ability to track your steps throughout the day using this pedometer, or as they call it, the activity meter, that came packaged with the game. All the gameplay in this game revolves around your walking. The activity meter records your steps throughout the day, so that you can then transfer it to your game at the end of the day. The game features graphs of your walking, as well as very simple mini-games, and has a very similar vibe to Wii Fit. I have a full video about this game, so if you want to know more about it, I'll link that in the description. Turning enemies into food in Miitopia. It's heavily implied that when you defeat certain enemies in Miitopia, you literally eat them. For example, when you defeat the goblin enemy, you get a food item called goblin ham as a reward, which you can eat, and it does in fact appear to be made out of goblin. And there are many other food items which have similar implications. Goblin ham is just a singular example. Kuruma de DS, or in English, DS in the Car, is an obscure game for the DS, which released exclusively in Japan in 2012, which not only featured Miis, but also the synthesized voices, which are most well known for their role in the Tomodachi series. This game is widely considered lost media, as even though the ROM is widely available, it cannot be emulated or played on an R4 cart due to its unique properties. You see, this game was meant to be played while connected via Bluetooth to an Eclipse GPS, and most content in the game cannot be accessed without use of said GPS. In addition to this, likely due to the Bluetooth module in the cartridge not being accounted for, the game does not run at all on emulators or R4 carts. Ide Yosuke's Healthy Mahjong. Ide Yosuke's Healthy Mahjong is the only DSiWare game to include Miis, which are used as optional player icons. Other than its use of Miis, the game isn't really that notable. It's just Mahjong, but for the DS. The game is good if you want to play Mahjong but have no friends though. Tomodachi Life Fashion Catalog. This entry is referring to this Japan-exclusive Club Nintendo reward. This book has about 80 pages that include 24 different Miis, modeling a variety of outfits from Tomodachi Life. The last 2 pages contain QR codes for all the models that appeared throughout the book. They're special Miis, which mean they wear gold pants and cannot be edited. This book is notable for featuring hundreds of high-quality official Mii renders. If you're interested in looking into the book yourself, I have kind of shitty scans of it on archive.org as well as my own website. There are more Mii and Tomodachi Life books that I will be getting to later, but this one seems to be the most well-known outside of Japan. Layer 4, The Midnight Zone. In one of Nintendo's Giga Leaks, a document was publicized which explained the guidelines developers were meant to follow when using Miis in their games. As will be touched upon in later entries, these guidelines have arguably been broken many times. But honestly, that could be a whole video on its own, so if you're interested in listening to me go over these guidelines and maybe even talk about the ways they've been broken in the past, please let me know. Anti-Sherry and Friends. Anti-Sherry and Friends is a dog grooming parlor in Ontario, Canada, which has been using Miis as its mascot since its opening in 2013. From a glance at their Facebook page, the business is still up and running, using the same mascots, and actually has glowing reviews. So I guess if you're in the Ontario area and need to get your pet groomed, well, you know where to go. The business also has a website which is currently under construction and has been since 2022. Every time I see one of these abandoned websites, I could fix you. Forget it. As for why Nintendo never went after this business, I can only assume it just flew under their radar, and well, let's be honest, what harm is it really doing? Wii Karaoke U doesn't censor explicit lyrics. The game Wii Karaoke U, as well as its Nintendo Switch port, use licensed music which players are able to sing along to in games of karaoke. Obviously. But for whatever reason, songs which contain explicit lyrics are not censored at all. That's right, there's absolutely zero censorship in this game, which can lead to some of the funniest video game screenshots I have ever seen in my life. Unofficial Mii renderers. Some Mii fans have taken it upon themselves to create programs which people can use to get high-quality renders of their Miis. Probably the most well-known of these are Aaron's Mii renderer and Kat's Mii creator. The Mii creator even having an incredibly impressive Mii maker which can run in your browser. Recently, Kat's Mii creator has changed to only allow members of their Discord to use the site, but I can only assume that this will change in the future. Tomodachi Life in real life. This entry is referring to an idea that has been made into YouTube videos a few times, where people would imagine what Tomodachi Life would be like if it was in real life. Dylan's Dead Heat Breakers. The 3DS game Dylan's Dead Heat Breakers, which is the third game in the Dylan series, takes the pre-existing world of Dylan's and adds Miis to it, which weren't in any previous games in the series. But in the Dylan universe, all of the characters are anthropomorphic animals, so how are they able to implement Miis into this world? Yeah, that's right, they turn them into furries. Your character, along with many of the NPCs in this game, are all Miis, including these characters which you can hire to help you fight off enemies in battles, known as Gunners. Drill Sergeant Mindstrong. Drill Sergeant Mindstrong is a minigame compilation released exclusively on the Wii Shop channel as a WiiWare title, the twist being that you play as a military recruit following your sergeant's commands. As was the case with many similar Wii games of the time, Miis are used as optional player characters. In this game though, they can only be unlocked through ranking first place on the leaderboard with at least normal difficulty, which is probably the reason as to why there isn't very much footage of Miis being used in this game. What makes the inclusion of Miis notable here is the fact that during the marching minigame, the characters are clearly seen carrying actual firearms. How Nintendo let this fly, I'm not sure, but my best guess is that it had to do with the fact that the weapons are never actually discharged during the minigame. That and the general lighthearted nature of the game itself. Mii magazines. In the world of Mii merchandise, the most common items by far are magazines and books. The vast majority of these books and magazines being about Tomodachi Life. Around the time of the game's release in Japan, many magazines published issues all about the game, many of which included Mii QR codes to scan into your game. A good chunk of these codes have not been archived, however, if you live within Japan, these magazines are extremely easy to find copies of for sale online. I myself have obtained and scanned some of these magazines for archival purposes, which you can see on my site or archive.org. This just in, we have reports of a guest coming on board to talk about an entry. Everyone, please welcome Not So Clear Cut.
Bradley's Double 7. Okay, so you may be asking a few things. Who's Bradley, and what the fuck is a Double 7? But rest assured, it'll all be explained. So, Bradley's Double 7 is a fandom wiki created by one Bradley Dobbs. It centers around his TV show and characters, with over 1,000 pages total. It has descriptions of his TV shows. For example, Bradley's Double 7 is a Canadian animated comedy television series produced for NCI TV from Monday, November 21st, 2011 to Friday, June 19th, 2015, and is created by Bradley Dobbs. The series is produced by using 2D software and revolves around the St. Laurent. The series has not been renewed for a 6th season by NCI TV. In Monday, November 21st, 2011, currently reruns in the NCI TV until September 3rd, 2018. I mean, yeah, this is not a real show. This entire wiki is just creative. None of these shows here are actually real. So yeah, Bradley's Double 7, Bradley's Double 7 City Freeze, Bradley and Friends, Bradley and Friends Revenge of the Mewtwo, Dummy and Dummy or Bradley at the Orange World are all just projects created for the wiki. This is a common thing on fandom wikis. I mean, if you go to the fandom wiki called Fantendo, there are tons and tons of pages going over cool concepts for games and systems, written as wiki pages, as if it actually existed. You may still be wondering what this has to do with the Mii Iceberg, as I haven't mentioned one of those things yet. Okay, so how about everyone watching do something for me? Pause the video for 1 second, and search on Google Bruce Wii Sports Club, and look at the first or so image. Then come back to me and tell me what you see.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
He was turned into a fucking centaur. Okay, so think of a Mii, a CPU Mii, and I swear to you that Bradley has probably drawn that shit. Tommy, Bruce, Julie, Matt, Hiromi, just any CPU Mii, almost every CPU Mii. That wouldn't be that interesting, but in the wiki they all have fucking Pokemon types for some reason. And like my buddy Bruce, some of them are just Mii creature hybrids. I mean, look at Delilah, a CPU Mii from Wii Party U. According to the wiki, Delilah is a large half-human and half-octopus. They have the brown hair with eyebrows, they have the black eyes, they have the trunky nose and the brown lips, and her body from the waist down is green with 12 tentacles. Genuinely, how do you think of stuff like this? I'm not even hating on him, it's pretty cool he made this much lore based off Wii Party U CPU Miis, and he's still updating the wiki to this day. This wiki was updated a mere 3 hours before I wrote this script. Here, why do I like his fandom wiki so much? What are you, Bradley's bitch? You know what, fuck you. Let's see you update the Bradley Cinematic Universe wiki up for years and years. There is no reason to talk shit about him. The reason his Mii art is at the top of Google is because of Fandom. The company is a disgusting corporation that has the fandom wiki pages always at the top of Google. Their search engine optimization is so fucking good. For example, Wikirby, which doesn't use the Adverden fandom website and is a generally better wiki, is still below the fandom wikis because of fandom having really good SEO or search engine optimization. So even if a community moves their own wiki to an independent site, fandom does not allow your fandom wiki to be deleted, so they remain top dog in the search engines. But let's not get into fandom's shittiness in this. My point is that fandom's SEO is why Bradley's Mii art is at the top of a lot of searches about Miis, especially CPU Miis. He turned Miguel into fucking Seaman. There's also Bowser's 77 wiki that has Bowser edits on it, but honestly I'm too scared to talk about this one. Look at what's on here, what the fuck. But yeah, I think I got the gist of Bradley Dobbs' creative genius down in this wiki pretty much done. So yeah, I'll hand this one back off to Zorb.
Alright, thanks itsnotsoclearcut for covering this entry. Now let's get back to our regularly scheduled video. Gotochi Tetsuro Gotochi Kyara to Nihon Zenkoku no Tabi. Gotochi Tetsuro Gotochi Kyara to Nihon Zenkoku no Tabi, which roughly translates to local railways traveling around Japan with local characters, is a very obscure Mii game for 3DS, Wii U, and Nintendo Switch, which was initially released in 2014. It's a fairly simple board game style game, where you travel around Japan with a team of mascots gaining fans, which is basically the game's equivalent of points. The objective being to be the player with the most fans by the end of the game. This game was never localized, most likely due to the entire thing being so heavily based upon Japanese culture that it would probably be pretty alienating to an international player base. The game is on this iceberg mainly just because of its obscurity, especially outside of Japan. Joey Carlino Mii Maker. In February 2024, popular 3D animator and Blender YouTuber Joey Carlino uploaded a video in which he created his own Mii Maker in Blender. The reason this is mentioned in this iceberg is because he made his Mii Maker available for the public to download. This Mii Maker is different from many of the other fan-made Mii Makers because it doesn't try to conform to how an official Mii Maker would actually work, allowing for a bit more freedom, like how you can just drag around all the features. But this does mean the Mii creator is far less accurate to the official material. Layer 5, The Abyss. Editor's note from Zorpu here. This entry ended up being a bit too long to play in full, so I've trimmed it down for this iceberg. But Logzoya has put the full uncut entry on their YouTube channel, which I highly recommend you check out after this. Plus, they've got another project in the works which I'm told you may want to stay tuned for.
Oh, hey, looks like I interrupted something. Is he okay? No idea. Why am I here? Oh. Yeah. Sure, let me just... You probably don't know me, so let me introduce myself. I'm Zoya, also known as Logzoya, Arafael Girl, and Akriel Yuni. Yeah, also one of the city cornerstone cost 1k. Bloodborsh is gonna end us all. Human rights are myth, and I'm addicted to doshirak. It means I'm Russian.
Didn't expect that kind of red, white and blue, huh?
The idea of all this got in my head when I noticed a little fact about Miitomo. It has a Russian language option. So, what is that interesting about translation? You may be asking. For this, I need to briefly explain the story of Nintendo in Russia. Well, how brief? One sentence. Nutshell even.
Okay, so we're not selling SNES yet?
Russia.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Ёбана-покорёбана, я нахуй не буду продавать почку для этого. Пошло это нахуй, давай Дэнди или Сигу брать, хотя бы дерьмо не будем жрать целый месяц, хорошо?
So it means most people in Russia don't know about Nintendo. At all. So, what can help to reach your target audience? You know the answer. What am I doing with my life? I don't think Nintendo planned to expand on Russian market specifically, but sure they had some hope here since they included, even though the Tomodachi Life and V series wasn't translated but sold. Not gonna lie, Russian implementation here seems harsh. Mii's usual TTS is a feminine voice, so making masculine sounding characters kinda hard.
Можешь ответить позже.
Trailer uses as "no way", "привет", like "hello". I have no idea why, it's stupid. At least they could put "oh, здорово, Санёк" or something. But you know what? It's not the stupidest thing. So, it's probably better to use neutral language when talking about personalities, right? So, there's a group of personality in European English version called Resort. Russian Miitomo translation seems to be based on this version. Guess what words they used? Well... Замкнутый. Замкнутый. These words mean closeted. Who thought that замкнутый is good word for that? This word has negative connotations. There's more good words without feeling like you're putting down whole group of personality. I tried to find who did Russian translations, but then I never answered me, and Nintendo said they don't have that information. Sad. Really, it's interesting to look at minor cultural difference like that. Just having one moment in history took out my knowledge of pretty good games. And I'm jealous! Maybe I should make a full history of Nintendo in Russia. There's video about Hong Kong. Why not talk about war? Fuck this lack of knowledge. Where are my amateur historians at? Do you know about the rest of because of Pokemon Go? 3DS that became an inner meme? The reason why you can't buy legally Miitopia anymore? There was a reason! Well, if you're interested in it, I'll make it. Anyway, thanks for listening to my yapping. Hope you like my part. If you want to look at my stuff, this little fella will leave links in the description. Side note, I'm not active on social media and won't be anytime soon because... reasons. So, if you want to talk to me, hit me up in Kaero Discord server. I like interacting with humans. Also, sorry for listening to my English voice. Okay, that's all. Bye bye.
Tomodachi Life Personality Quiz. As a part of the promotion for the release of Tomodachi Life in North America and Europe, Nintendo created a quiz for their website which would determine what Tomodachi Life personality you had based on how you answered a set of questions. Unfortunately, this quiz is no longer available on Nintendo's website and is pretty poorly archived on the Wayback Machine. We do have an archive of the North American version of the quiz, however, the results don't work. Fear not though, my admittedly amateur programming skills have finally come in handy. I created a fully functional recreation of the Tomodachi Life quiz, which you can take on my website. Unfortunately, the original code was, well, really confusing, so this is not a one-to-one replica, but the results should be exactly the same. It's also worth mentioning that this is a work in progress. The page needs a lot more polish before it's even close to done, but for now it's functional at the very least. Yoshimoto Golden Week Miis. Golden Week is a yearly period in Japan which consists of several consecutive national holidays, which give many people an opportunity to take days off work. During the Golden Week of 2011, Nintendo did a promotion teamed up with the talent management company Yoshimoto, where Miis of performers under their management would be distributed via QR codes throughout 18 train stations in 7 different cities. You could find these codes on both posters throughout the train stations or through these 3DS stations in certain areas. Miitomo ads. In 2016, Nintendo created a series of advertisements for Miitomo in Japan, which are notable for featuring a short storyline. This translation was provided to me by Logzoya, so please give them a huge thank you for their contributions yet again. In the first advert, we begin with a shot of this girl, whose name we later learn is Mika, in school looking at her phone. Her Mii asks her the question, "What is an important thing to you?" She types an answer, but we don't get to see what it is. We then see a group of girls laughing at said answer. In the next scene, the students are on a field trip. They watch a woman playing the shamisen. We see the students re-enter the room later, where the instrument is kept. Some students begin to play with it as if it was a toy. Mika gets upset at this, grabs another shamisen, and begins playing in front of the other students, shocking them with her performance. It is then revealed that her answer was traditional Japanese culture. The second video follows the same premise. We open on a shot of a different girl, whose name we later learn is Yumi. Her Mii asks her the question, "What habit would you like to get rid of?" The other students are then shown acting surprised at her answer. In the next scene, they're all in class, and the teacher asks Yumi a question. She stands, but then begins to rap the answer. It is then revealed that her answer was rapping in important situations. In the third and final ad, the students are looking at a poster for the live rap concert that Yumi is performing at. Text shows, reading, "I'm very nervous about my first performance. I'm so happy everyone is going to be there. You will come too, right, Mika?" After Mika's shamisen lesson, she is seen outside looking at the concert poster. Yumi is then seen, presumably being called out on stage. Text then reads, "Hey Yumi, you always cheered me on when I was weak-kneed, since childhood, the whole time. But right now, Yumi's cheerfulness is painful. I feel like I am crushed by the pressure of the exam. I like you very much. Sorry." In the next scene, we see that Yumi's concert went well, but after it's over, Mika is never seen. Text showing Yumi's thoughts is then shown. Did she say, "I'm not going"? She promised to come to my first concert, right? In the next scene, Yumi is at home, looking sadly at photos of her and Mika together. Then, she gets a message from Mika on Miitomo about what happened recently. "My exam is coming up soon. I feel like crying. I'm in a slump. But seeing my best friend rapping gave me energy and courage, and helped me get back on my feet. By the way, my dream is stand on the same stage as my favorite girl." Mika comments, "Me too." Then text appears. "I love you, Mika." In the final scene, the two girls are seen performing together on stage. Wii U Sports is awesome. Wii U Sports is awesome, not to be confused with Wii Sports Club. The Wii Sports game for the Wii U refers to this parody video created by Smosh in November of 2012, 2 years before the release of Wii Sports Club. The video is a parody trailer for the newest Wii U Wii Sports game, showing off new sports like Wii U Gladiator, Wii U Mud Wrestling, and Wii U Juggling, as well as new features such as power-ups, and the ability for your Wiimote to inject you with a deadly neurotoxin and kill you. The trailer's gameplay segment uses these crude recreations of Miis for its animations. As ugly as they are, they really do have that old internet charm. They remind me of the Miis from Death of the Mii People, another parody animation which I didn't have time to cover in this video. If you watch the video now, you'll notice that the title is now, "These Nintendo games are insane." At some point between 2021 and 2022, the title of the video was changed, likely due to copyright concerns with Nintendo. Twerking Mii filter. There's a filter originating from Snapchat created by user John F. of a Mii twerking. I don't know why anyone would make this, but yeah, it exists. Kinda funny, kinda stupid. Not much else to say. I also found this YouTube channel, which might be made by the same person because they not only have a video of the Mii twerking filter, but also some other very similar style animations. Famitsu Cross-Dressing Mii. The August 2013 issue of Famitsu DS plus Wii came with an appendix book about the newly released at the time, Tomodachi Life, which included a page talking about activities the Miis in the game were participating in. One of these blurbs speaks of a male Mii who enjoys cross-dressing. I included this entry because I figured some would find it amusing, and it's quite an obscure tidbit, but it's worth noting that cross-dressing is a very common gag in Japanese media, and it really isn't all that crazy, although I doubt something like this would have been localized at the time. If you're interested, I scanned the entire book, which you can read on my site or archive.org. Starfy R Miis. The video game series The Legendary Starfy, known as Densetsu no Starfy in Japan, received this one-shot manga known as Densetsu no Starfy R. The book contains several short comedic stories about the main characters of the game series. In one of these stories, Starfy and his sister are arguing over what console is the best, the Wii or the DS. In this comic, there are several points where they can be seen playing Wii Sports, in which illustrations of the game featuring Miis can be seen. Interestingly, the Miis in this book are illustrated with ears, which of course isn't exactly game accurate. Miiloids. Miiloids are a pretty niche trend which emerged from the Japanese side of the Mii community. A Miiloid is basically a Vocaloid, but it's a Mii. People use Mii voice banks to create covers of popular Vocaloid songs and upload them to sites like YouTube and Nico Nico. Using the program Utao, the same program used to create Kase ne Teto, users have created voice banks using samples of Mii's speech from games like Tomodachi Life or Miitomo. Making Miiloids is something I've dabbled in on this very channel, and it's pretty simple and fun. So if you like to play around with things like that, I would highly recommend making yourself some cool Miiloids. Well, looks like we've got another report today. Let's see.
The Department of Homeland Security has issued a Glorbus containment breach alert. This is for the affected areas of the world.
Forward Thinking Pro. Forward Thinking Productions, or Sean Boshard, is an animator/parody artist who has been uploading to YouTube since 2010. His channel mainly consists of a series of parody videos called Mii Life, which document the daily life of an atheist Mii named Sean. The videos consist of skits filled with edgy jokes. One episode of Mii Life was apparently so graphic that it was even taken down from YouTube. And what was this video? A video so offensive it had to be removed from the platform? Yeah, it was 2 Girls 1 Cup but with Miis. Fear not though, Sean has very kindly re-uploaded a censored version of the video for your viewing pleasure. Although his channel received quite a few views back in the day, it's still relatively obscure, even after being around for 14 years. This fact, combined with its overall edgy nature, is why I put it this low on the iceberg. And of course, if you choose to visit his channel, well, don't say I didn't warn you. And would you look at that, you made it to the end of the iceberg. Congratulations. And a huge thank you to Logzoya for creating their amazing segment about Miis and Nintendo in Russia, as well as itsnotsoclearcut for taking over the one entry I couldn't fucking stand to talk about myself, as well as the Bradley's 007 segment. If you enjoy my work and want to support me, please consider reaching out to me for a commission. I can create character illustrations, edit videos, make animations, and all sorts of stuff. Your imagination is the limit. And your wallet. On a slightly less fun note, videos like this take hundreds of hours and months to create, and I just have a lot on my plate right now. I probably won't be able to make videos as long as this one anytime soon. I hope you understand. The truth of the matter is, unless a channel is absolutely massive, you aren't going to make back even close to the amount of work you put into your content and money. So I simply can't direct my full attention to it, as much as I want to. I will still continue to make videos, of course, but I'll have to cut a lot of corners. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for listening to me ramble at the end. Switch to Linux and have a great rest of your evening.
Konnichiwa.